preparation, extermination, and denial. Number 1, classification by culture. Symbolization. We give names or other symbols to classifications. We name people Jews or Gypsies, or distinguish them by colors of dress. Dehumanization. One group denies the humanity of the other group. Organization. Genocide is always organized, usually by the state, often using militias to provide deniability of state responsibility. Polarization. Extremists drive the groups apart. Hate groups broadcast polarizing propaganda. Feminism. Preparation. Victims are identified and separated out because of their ethnic or religious identity. Zimmerman. Extermination begins and quickly becomes the mass killing legally called genocide. This is happening through the medical industry, psychological industry, and the criminal industry. And the denial. Denial is a stage that always follows a genocide. It is among the surest indicators of further genocidal massacres. The perpetrators of genocide dig up mass graves, burn the bodies, try to cover up the evidence, and intimidate the witnesses. They deny that they've committed any crimes and often blame what happened on the victims. April 24, 1974. Dr. Henry Kissinger proposed in his memorandum to the National Security Council that depopulation should be the highest priority of U.S. foreign policy towards the Third World. He quoted reasons of national security and because the U.S. economy will require large and increasing amounts of minerals from abroad, especially from less developed countries. Wherever a lessening of population can increase the prospects for such stability, population policy becomes relevant to resources, supplies, and to the economic interests of the United States Incorporated. The targeting agency for the operation is the National Security Council's ad hoc group on population policy. Its policy planning group is in the U.S. State Department's Office of Population Affairs, established in 1975 by Henry Kissinger. Attorneys are accountants. To them, we don't have a color, we don't have a race, religion, culture. Those are just tools to pit us against each other, polarize us after classification, dehumanization, etc. When we're pit up against each other, we're not seeing what they're doing. Wasn't culture on that list? Who's funding Monsanto? Oh, I see. Comes straight out of the United States Incorporated, doesn't it? But if they pit us against each other, we never see what their other hand is doing, do we? Nobody sees the real players in this game, or the overall intent of policy, corporate policy. Sexism created by the attorneys. Racism created and maintained to let fester by the attorney. Terrorism created and maintained by the attorney. The word colony stems from settled land, farm, or landed estate. Injury, to put into law. CMS.gov, Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. Indications and limitations of coverage. A. Covered persons. Payment may be made only where sterilization is a necessary part of the treatment of an illness or injury. Injury, to put into law. Stolen wombs. In 1941, Hitler suspended the Action T4 program that killed nearly 100,000 people. Euthanasia continued through the use of drugs and starvation instead of gassings. Prescription painkillers now the leading cause of accidental deaths in the United States. 41,000 Americans died as a result of poisoning compared to 38,000 vehicle traffic deaths in 2010. Castration drug given to kids as autism therapy. Nearly 250 female inmates sterilized in California prisons without state approval. The doctors were under contract with the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. Injury to put into law. Human capital returns from prison industry investment and production. The GEO Group is the world's leading provider of correctional detention and community reentry services. Injury to put into law. Death derivatives emerge from pension risk of living too long. You are living too long and creating a risk. April 24, 1974, Henry Kissinger. Dr. Henry Kissinger proposed in his memorandum to the NSC that depopulation should be the highest priority of U.S. foreign policy towards the Third World. Planned Parenthood. Over 1 million abortions are performed in the United States Incorporated each and every year. Ex-judge defends ordering an abortion for a woman. Injury to put into law, to bring into law, in order to garner funding through WHO, the World Health Organization. Judges, attorneys, legal professionals have to order that these things occur. This is how they are generating revenue. These are your brothers and sisters. These are your children. This is what corporate welfare looks like. This is low-intensity conflict, a war waged on you that you don't even have any clue is occurring. Winning hearts and minds is a concept occasionally expressed in the resolution of war, insurgency, and other conflicts, in which one side seeks to prevail not by the use of superior force, but by making emotional or intellectual appeals to sway supporters of the other side. After being labeled as criminals, sheeple allow this. Stop allowing this. This is Nazi Germany all over again. Matthew 22. Tell us therefore, what thinkest thou? Is it lawful to give tribute to Caesar or not? But Jesus perceived their wickedness, and said, Why tempt ye me, ye hypocrites? Show me the tribute money. And they brought unto him a penny. And he saith unto them, Whose is this image and superscription? They say unto him, Caesar's. Then saith he unto them, Render therefore unto Caesar the things which are Caesar's, and unto God the things that are God's. When they had heard these words, they marveled, and left him, and went their way. Patriot stems from the word father. Calling something your father is patriotism. From Salon.com. Why did you shoot me? Saul Caluso is dead because he bet on a football game. But it wasn't a bookie or a loan shark who killed him. His local government killed him, ostensibly to protect him from his gambling habit. 27 CFR 72.11. This is the Code of Federal Regulations. Commercial crimes. Any of the following types of crimes, federal or state. Offenses against the revenue laws, semicolon. Burglary, counterfeiting. Forgery, kidnapping, larceny, robbery, illegal sale or possession of deadly weapons. Prostitution, including soliciting, procuring, pandering, white slaving, keeping house of ill fame, and like offenses. Extortion, swindling and confidence games, and attempting to commit, conspiring to commit, or compounding any of the foregoing crimes. Addiction to narcotic drugs and use of marijuana will be treated as if such were commercial crimes. Let me repeat that. Commercial crimes. Any of the following types of crimes, federal or state. Offenses against the revenue laws. Why did you shoot me? Well, the answer's simple. You were taking Caesar's cut, and he doesn't like it when You are making money on your body that he owns. And he owns it thanks to patriotism. This is the action of human husbandry. You are being farmed. This is occurring because you call it your father, and you ask it to protect you from yourself. To the betterment of corporate policy and keeping corporations on corporate welfare. Human husbandry. A short story of human husbandry. Once upon a time, when the continent was sparsely populated, the indigenous peoples, having been largely killed off by the introduction of pestilence, disease, and natural resources, seemed so abundant they would never be used up. Public bodies, corporations, were organized mainly to distribute the resources to the favored or privileged populace via an assortment of rights. Water rights, grazing rights, hunting rights, logging rights, mining rights, trading rights, building rights, fishing rights. Some of these rights promoted the practice of what we call animal husbandry. Dr. Henry Kissinger proposed in his memorandum to the NSC that depopulation should be the highest priority of U.S. foreign policy towards the Third World. He quoted reasons of national security, and because the U.S. economy will require large and increasing amounts of minerals from abroad, especially from less developed countries. Wherever a lessening of population can increase the prospects for such stability, population policy becomes relevant to resources, supplies, and to the economic interests of the United States Incorporated. East Germany's secret police sold citizens to Western pharmaceutical companies to use as human guinea pigs in drug trials. Rules of Procedure of the Freiburg Ethics Commission International, or FECI. FECI means to kill the fee. Since its inception, FECI has reviewed and provided expert opinions for clinical studies using human test subjects. After more than 25 years of existence, the FECI has achieved national and international reputation for professionalism. The expert opinion prepared for a clinical study is based on the current editions of the recommendations of the revised World Medical Association's Declaration of Helsinki, the directives and guidelines of the European Union, and the regulations of the United States Food and Drug Administration, or FDA. These contracts to kill human beings and use them as human test subjects are at the Ethics Commission with the FDA. The United States Incorporated Food and Drug Administration has contracts with the Ethics Commission to obliterate the human populace. From smallbusiness.cron.com. Examples of company policy and procedures. Company policies and procedures establish the rules of conduct within an organization, outlining the responsibilities of both employees and employers. From Russia Today. Cop caught planting drugs. From complex.com. Utica cop caught on his own dashboard camera allegedly planting evidence. From WSBT.com. Charges dropped against man claiming officers planted drugs on him. This is corporate policy. Those cops usually disappear or get off on a technicality later, but they're really good employees for the corporation. This is also known as insurance. Guarantees what's going to happen, doesn't it? From TribLive.com, former Allegheny prosecutor charged with promoting prostitution. From Black's Law Dictionary, first edition, guarantee. A promise to answer for the payment of some debt or the performance of some duty in case of the failure of another person who in the first instance is liable to such payment or performance. From Black's Law Dictionary, 8th edition, guarantee insurance. An agreement to cover a loss resulting from another's default, insolvency, or specified misconduct. Also termed surety insurance. From docslegus.wisconsin.gov. Sureties. Every surety under this chapter, except for a surety under subsection 345.61, shall be a resident of this state. A surety under this chapter shall be a natural person.